Pablo Escobar was one of the most notorious criminals in history. He was born in Colombia in 1949. Escobar became the leader of the Medellin cartel, a powerful drug trafficking organization. He made billions of dollars selling cocaine. His wealth and violence made him both feared and famous. Escobar's story is a complex one. He was a ruthless criminal who terrorized Colombia. Yet he was also seen by some as a folk hero. He gave money to the poor and built houses in impoverished communities. This duality makes his legacy a controversial one. Escobar's life, though short and brutal, left an enduring mark. He exposed the world to the dangers of drug trafficking. He left a scar on Colombia that is still felt today. Pablo Escobar's path to becoming a drug lord began in the slums of Medellin. He grew up poor and saw crime as a way out. As a teenager, Escobar started small. He stole cars and sold tombstones. These petty crimes were a stepping stone. He yearned for more power and wealth. Escobar soon moved into the drug trade. He saw an opportunity in the growing demand for cocaine. He started working with smugglers. They transported coca paste from Bolivia and Peru. He took risks and quickly learned the business. His ambition and ruthlessness set him apart. He wasn't content with being a small-time player. Escobar wanted to control the entire cocaine trade. This desire fueled his rise to power. It also led to extreme violence and corruption. In the 1970s, Pablo Escobar and his associates formed the Medellin cartel. This group would become a dominant force in the global cocaine trade. Escobar used his intelligence and ruthlessness to control every step of the process. He oversaw cocaine production in the jungles. He managed transportation routes to the United States. The cartel's success brought Escobar immense wealth. He became one of the richest men in the world. He owned luxurious properties, expensive cars, and even his own private zoo. But his wealth came at a terrible cost. Escobar's methods were brutal. He used violence and intimidation to eliminate rivals and silence critics. Pablo Escobar's rise to power was paved with blood. He was responsible for the deaths of thousands of people. His tactics were brutal and indiscriminate. He used car bombs, assassinations, and even hijacked airplanes. No one was safe from his reach, not even judges, politicians, or journalists. Escobar's reign of terror instilled fear in the hearts of Colombians. He used bribery and intimidation to corrupt government officials and police officers. He created a climate of fear and silence. Those who dared to oppose him were often met with swift and deadly retribution. Section 5, Colombia, held hostage the impact of Escobar's power. Pablo Escobar's influence extended far beyond the criminal underworld. He had a profound impact on Colombian society. While his wealth brought some benefits to the poor, his violence tore the nation apart. His drug trafficking fueled corruption and undermined the rule of law. Escobar's reign also brought unprecedented levels of violence to Colombia. His cartel wars with rival gangs turned city streets into battlegrounds. Innocent people were often caught in the crossfire. The Colombian government seemed powerless to stop him. Section 6, a nation at war, Escobar versus Colombia and the US. As Pablo Escobar's power grew, so did the opposition to his reign. The Colombian government, under intense pressure from the United States, declared war on the Medellin cartel. This led to a bloody conflict that lasted for years. The United States poured resources into Colombia to help capture Escobar. They provided military aid and intelligence. This collaboration, however, was not without controversy. Some argued that the US was interfering in Colombian affairs. Others questioned the effectiveness of the war on drugs. Section 7. The walls close in Escobar's downfall and death. By the early 1990s, Pablo Escobar was a hunted man. The combined forces of the Colombian government, the US Drug Enforcement Administration, and rival cartels were closing in. His empire was crumbling. He was constantly on the run. On December 2nd, 1993, Escobar's reign of terror finally came to an end. He was tracked down by Colombian security forces in Medellin and killed in a shootout. His death was met with mixed emotions in Colombia. Some celebrated the end of his reign. Others mourned the loss of the Robin Hood figure they believed him to be. Section 8. The legacy of a criminal Escobar's enduring impact. Pablo Escobar's legacy is a complex and controversial one. He was a ruthless criminal who brought death and destruction to Colombia. Yet he was also seen by some as a folk hero who provided for the poor. His story continues to fascinate and horrify people around the world. Escobar's life has been the subject of countless books, documentaries, and television shows. His portrayal in popular culture has often romanticized his criminal activities. This has sparked debate about the glorification of violence and the dangers of drug trafficking. Section 9. The Robin Hood Paradox, Escobar's complex public image. Despite his crimes, Pablo Escobar remains a complex figure in Colombia. He is both reviled for his violence and admired for his generosity. He gave money to the poor, built houses, and funded community projects. This earned him a degree of support among some Colombians. This Robin Hood image, however, is a dangerous oversimplification. Escobar's generosity was a calculated tactic to buy loyalty and silence dissent. He used his wealth to manipulate people and maintain his grip on power. Section 10. The War on Drugs, Lessons Learned and the Future. Pablo Escobar's life and death provide a stark reminder of the devastating consequences of the drug trade. His story highlights the complex social and economic factors that fuel drug trafficking. It also raises questions about the effectiveness of the war on drugs. Despite billions of dollars spent and countless lives lost, the global drug trade continues to thrive. This suggests that a new approach is needed, one that focuses on reducing demand, providing treatment for addicts, and addressing the root causes of drug trafficking.